Hello.
Yes.
Gaurav, I think I can't hear you properly, I guess. Let's do one thing. I mean, you can go on mute, okay? And just let me know if you are able to listen me properly so that I can start.
Okay, so yes, I can still
So you can hear me and then you can see my screen, right?
very clear from my end.
Okay, fine then. I mean, because I for some reason I can't hear you properly, but no problem. See, okay then. You know anything about Python?
Yes. There's a practice and uh, two of my classmates are in IT. So in Delhi, just to learn this Python and so that you can also get into IT and the better scope and better chance to grow. As right now I'm doing a job so it's so much to attain and up in the market.
Okay, okay. Okay, no problem then. I mean, still again, I can't hear you properly. You can do one thing. If you have any something like questions, you can just mention those questions in the comment section. So if you open that YouTube URL, right, that I sent you right now. So there in the comment section, you can post your doubts so that I can see and then answer you.
Okay.
Okay, no problem, right?
Can you join? Can you join YouTube?
I did not get you. What you were saying? No, your voice is breaking. I mean, too much. I mean, I think there is a network problem, I guess.
So,
What you were trying to say? I don't understand. So you see my screen, right? So maybe here you can type the question. Maybe here. I mean, if you see the screen, so here you can type your questions and what you were trying to say here. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Let's do it then. So I mean, just go on mute, okay? Because I see that disturbance. I mean, I resent the disturbance. Okay then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. Before that, let's see. Okay, we both are here.
There is a network issue, I think.
Yeah. So that is what I also feel. Okay, no problem. So let's start it. See, Python is a programming language. So it is like a
Yeah.
high level interpreted programming language. So when I say high level, so what do you mean? I mean, you know anything about high level programming languages? See, there are many other programming languages like you take C, Java, or CPP, or C Sharp, anything. You take anything, all these are high level programming languages. Why they are called
Yes,
high
sir.
level programming languages? See, because
Yes, sir.
uh,
High level language, high level program. As per my knowledge,
mhm,
the high level languages are like these are whatever you named right now,
mhm,
whatever programming languages you named, uh, high level programming
mhm.
languages. मतलब which are written in a user friendly language.
Exactly, exactly. See, when we say high level, that means humans can read that language. Okay, so humans can understand that language, but whereas computers cannot understand the high level language. Computers can understand only machine level language, which is in the form of zeros and ones. Okay, so you take any high level programming language, so that programming language needs to be converted into the form of machine level language, which is into zeros and ones. Okay, so there comes all these interpreters, compilers. So these will convert the program into machine level language. Okay, so whereas Python is a high level interpreted programming language. So we know about high level, so which means it is a human readable language. So what is interpreted? So interpreted means, so there are something like, we heard about something else also, like compiled programming language. Okay, so when we say compile programming language, in the compile programming language, what we do is we compile the program. That means we need to have the correct program in the file. So otherwise, you will get the errors, and then you won't get the object which is understandable by the computer. Okay, so but whereas in the interpreted programming languages, so the interpreter will convert the program line by line. Let's say something like you have 10 lines of code. Okay, so those 10 lines of code need not to be correct. There might be errors, but the interpreter will start converting from line 1. So if the line 1 is correct, it will interpret it, and then it will communicate with the computer. But whereas in the compiled programming language, you need to have those 10 lines in the proper format, and the proper code should be there. Otherwise, you won't get the compilation. I mean, you won't be able to compile the program, and you will get the compilation errors. I hope that makes sense. So Python is a high level interpreted programming language. And one more thing, Python is, it's a open source. That means it is free to use. Okay, even you can take the source code of the Python language, and then you can modify the language up to your requirements. Okay, and even you can sell that as a new programming language also, if you have the capabilities. Okay, and
Hello.
that's okay. Hello. So any doubts here? So, see. I will tell you six, I mean, super reasons why we should learn Python now. Okay, and the first reason is it's open source. So, as I was saying, so Python is open source, and so you can take the language, and then you can freely use it, and then you can even distribute that language, and even for commercial use. That means even you can sell that product. Okay, so it is open source, not like your C sharp. So when you take C sharp, it is a proprietary programming language of Microsoft. Okay, so you can't take the source code of them, and then you can't sell it literally. But whereas Python, you can do that. And the next point is Python is dynamically typed language. So that means, see, if you know about any other programming language like C or CPP or Java, so in that programming language, before using any variable, let's say something like any variable, like just like this one. Okay, so if you want to store any data in any variable, before that you need to declare that variable. That means you need to tell your compiler that, so this variable a is integer type. I am going to store integer type of data into that variable. That means you need to define that variable before using it. Whereas in other programming language, but when you come to Python, it is dynamically typed. That means you need not to bother about the data types. Okay, you simply take a variable, you store whatever data you want to store in that variable. So at the runtime, okay, the Python interpreter will understand what type of data that is stored in that variable. So depending upon that, those type of data properties will be applied to that variable. Okay, so that is dynamically typed. So it is very, good feature that I found in Python, because we need not to bother about the data types. See, let's say take this example here. This one. So when you do something like a by 2.0, that means since a is declared as integer, you won't be able to store floating values in integer a. Variable a. You will definitely get some warnings or even compilation errors also. Even if you don't get anything, the data won't be correct in variable a. But whereas in Python, you store whatever you want. At the runtime only, the data type will be decided by the interpreter. Okay, so that's the one thing. And moving on, and Python has a very simple syntax. I will show you, in a moment, how that Python syntax will looks like. See, you might have seen in C or something like Java, C Sharp. So we have so many semicolons and parentheses, curly braces, and all. But in Python, you need not to bother about semicolons or curly braces. Okay, so let's say something like you have a block of code. What we do in C or something like Java, so we need to use these curly braces to define the block of the code. And even if you are ending the statement, you should be having semicolon. Otherwise, you get that syntax errors every now and then. But whereas in Python, no worries. So no semicolons, no curly braces. You need not to use them at all. So it's automatically understandable by that. How it is, I will show you that. And the next one thing is one-liners. See, that is in Python, it is called Pythonic way of doing things. Let's say something like you want to swap two variables. Okay, so in Python, in C or Java, what you do is you write many number of lines of code, like something like this, int a b, something like this. Swap, you take the temporary variable, and even if you're not taking temporary variable, you do additions or something like subtraction and blah blah blah. Okay, and whereas in Python, you need not to do that. Simply you can do something like this: a comma b is equal to b comma a. So it will automatically swap the values. That means in the single statement, you can assign any number of values to any number of variables. Even we can do something like this also: a comma b comma c is equal to maybe something like, you have something like y comma z. But whereas if you take Java or C Sharp, you can't do this. Okay, so you don't have any one liners, or let's say something like you want to reverse the string. It is very pretty difficult, whereas other language. But in Python, it's very simple. Okay, in something like one line of code, you can do that. So that is one more interesting thing about Python. And next thing is Python commands are like, it's like general English like language. So when we said something like high level programming language, right? Python. So Python is a purely high level programming language. That means humans can actually understand by reading the code. See, let's say something like you take Java. In Java, for printing out something, okay, on the terminal, you need to write something like this: system.out.println, which is not, generally, see, Java is called as a high level programming language, but I can't read that. Read in the sense I can read it, but system.out.println, I don't know exactly what does it mean. But whereas something like you take Python, you have simple statements like print. Print means it is understandable, right? You are going to print it. That's it. So for example, you want to take the value from the input. So you have something like input. So that means you have English like commands. They are pretty easy to understand, and when you read the Python code, you will understand exactly what is there. And you need not to have any something like previous programming knowledge, or something like you need not to remember any syntax or any keywords, nothing, because all the commands are most of the commands are English like commands. Okay, so that's one interesting thing. And the other thing is, in Python, the data structures are very flexible. Okay, so let's say something like list means it's like list of variables. Okay, so when I say set means it just like your mathematical sets and subsets, right? So something like that. And dictionaries. So dictionaries, see, when we say dictionaries, it's like our normal English dictionary. That means you have a word and then the meaning. That means a description of that. That means key value pair. So there is no confusion about it. And then these data structures are very easy to use, and then they are very useful. On top of this, and I forgot to mention one more thing, and data structures, and they have something like very large predefined functions or library supports. There are many libraries actually, I mean, in Python. So when, let's say something like you want to send some SMS, I mean, you want to have an application to send SMS to mobile numbers. So within something like with 2 lines of code, you can do that. That means there are libraries to do that. Of course, I mean, you need to take something like you need to pay the money to the telecom operators. That's a different story. But the thing is, there are many libraries in Python which will support doing any stuff you want. Okay, but generally when we talk about Python, people say that it is Python is scripting language. No, Python is not only scripting programming language. Python is a general purpose programming language. When I say general purpose programming language, that means you can use it for any purpose. Let's say something like you want to write a small script, you can do that. Or you want to develop a website using Python, you can do that. Or you want to something like analyze the data, something like for data analysis. Okay, nowadays you might be hearing about something like big data, Hadoop, and all. So you want to achieve something like that, of course you can do that. And one more thing, Python is one of the something like mainly used programming language in big data or some data science area. And even you can do machine learning using Python. So I hope this is motivated enough to learn Python, I guess. You have any doubts here or any questions to ask, you are free to ask. I will see just if anyone is posting any questions over here.
Yes, sir. I'm listening, sir.
Okay, so someone is saying it is little can you little slow, too fast. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I mean that's about the introduction actually, basically about the Python. Okay, and see, I mean, depending upon your operating system, okay, you just go to this website python.org, okay, and download the .exe file and install it if you are using Windows operating system. Or if you are using something like Linux system or Mac OS, you need not to do anything, because Linux comes with Python by default, Linux and even Mac systems. But if you have Windows system, definitely you should be going and then downloading it. Okay, and definitely you can do that, I think, in your free time. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So I mean, you already have I mean Python in your system, or you want to install it now, or you want to install it maybe after some time? How it is?
We'll install it later on, sir. Right now we don't have.
Okay, right now you don't have. Okay, no problem. That's great. I mean, yeah, it's not like rocket science. You can easily install it. It's like just like any other .exe file. Okay. So one thing we need to remember is, I mean, while installing, you will get some option saying that add Python to path. Okay, when you do something like install Java, right? So you need to add that Java location to the environment variables, so that your system can understand where Python, I mean Java exists, right? So similarly, you need to select that option, add to path, while installing Python in I mean Windows operating system. Otherwise, if you are using Linux, it's nothing. Just you can open your terminal just like this. Okay, so just give me something. So something like this, and you can start typing it. So when you open the terminal, when you type Python, you will be in the Python interpreter. Okay, so sorry.
Like directly program, directly write code on terminal.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I mean, can you little louder, or can you speak? Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What you are asking? What is your question?
So Linux, do we program on terminals only in Python or in any other language also?
Yeah, no. I mean, you need not to. I mean, write the code in the terminal. Okay. If you are something like expert with Vim or Emacs, you can do that. I mean, you can write the program on the terminal. Otherwise, you can take any something like any text editor or anything. Okay, maybe you can use Notepad, anything you can use it. I mean, I will show you that exactly. Okay, so I mean, okay, so let me go to that. I mean, I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay. Okay, so I am using Atom as a text editor over here. Okay, so Atom, I mean, if you don't know about Atom, just ping me personally. I will let you know what is exactly Atom. Okay, it is again open source text editor. Okay, so you can download it for free and then you can use it. Okay, for your use. Okay, so let me do something like this. It's just I'm just adding a new program. Let's say something like hello world program we will write in Python. So that is how we do it, right? I mean, everywhere. So I'm storing the programming, I mean, program in this location, documents dot Python basics folder, and the program name is hello world. Okay, so simple. So you want to print hello world to the terminal. It's very simple. Just type print and hello world. That's it. So done. No need of semicolon, no need of class, nothing. Okay, because it is not required, right? It's just for printing, like you want to just print hello world to the terminal. Okay, so you need not to bother about the classes and methods and the, okay. So I'm just going to that location. Okay, so to run the Python program, we need to type Python only, Python, and then the program name. That's it. So this is how we do, I mean, we write the Python, I mean, simple hello world script. See, one more thing, Python is high level. Okay, definitely it is a high level programming language, high level, and it's an interpreted programming language, and it is object oriented programming language, definitely. That means oops. Okay, so though it is an object oriented programming language, okay, you need not to have classes and methods. Okay, for simple scripts, let's say something like you want to add two numbers. Okay, for just for addition, you need not to have the class and then the method. Inside that, you need not to write the addition code. Okay, though it is a object oriented programming language, Python won't force you to write the classes and methods until you required having classes. But whereas in Java, or even you take C, PP, or I mean C++ or C Sharp, okay, you are forced to write the classes and methods. Inside that only, you will be able to write the code. Even if it is like single statement like hello world also, you are forced to have classes. But in Python, no. I mean, Python won't force you to have classes and methods unless you want. Okay, if you want to have classes, then only you can have class. Otherwise, no need of Python. I mean, no need of classes and methods. Okay, so we will discuss that. I mean, maybe in some other session. But as of now, I will write a simple program and then I will show you how it is done. Okay, it's a hello world, and if you want add any comments in the Python program, this is the symbol. Okay, and this is a comment. Okay, so that's the thing. And as I was saying, let's say something like you want to write a addition program, you just want to add two numbers. Okay, so in Python, as I was saying, you need not to declare the variable. Just simply you can say a equal to 10 and b is equal to 20, 30, and whatever it is. Okay, that's it. You're done. And Python interpreter will understand what type of variable a it is. Okay, so let's say something like when you print a plus b, so you should be getting that output. So again, for running the Python program, you type Python and hello world. So simply you get here 40 and then 30. So this is how you do it. So before I mean discussing more about these things, Python supports all the data types. You take any other data types. Like in Java, you have something like integers, floating points, okay, characters, boolean. Okay, so all the data types are supported in Python. Okay, so there is no problem at all. So let's say something like you want to store some floating values, like you can do that. And if you want to store some strings, of course you can do that. Okay, so this is how it is done. Maybe, yeah, if you want boolean value, b is equal to, so true or false. Okay, something like this. Let's say something like t is equal to true. So this is how. Let's say something like you want to just print the name. Okay, name. Before that, what is your name? Let me add that. So you can do, I mean, multiple ways are there to print this statement. Okay, so as of now we'll just use comma over here. Your, I mean, something like static string and then the variable. Okay, so that's it. I hope everyone knows about the variable. I mean, what is a variable? I mean, variable is just like in your computer memory, it is just a data holder. Okay, so let's say something like you want to store some data. Okay, variable is used. Variable is nothing but a block of memory where you use the, I mean, where you store the values, I mean, data. Let's say something like when you define something like this, okay, a equal to 10 or b equal to 30, that means what would happen is when you run this program, Python interpreter, or let's say something like if you take C program, okay, when you compile that program, the compiler, what it will do is uh, it will keep the memory for variable a. Let's say something like if the variable type is integer, right? So integer size is 4 bytes. 4 bytes or 2 bytes depending upon your system architecture. So if it is a 4 bytes, then the compiler or interpreter will allocate 4 bytes of memory, and to that memory, um, that memory will be named as variable a. So whatever the value you store in this variable a, that value will be stored in that block of memory. This is something like this is a block of memory. Yeah, in the block of memory. And again, in the next statement, you do something like a is equal to 90. In the same block, the 10 will be replaced by 90. Okay, so simply in other words, you can say variable is nothing but a data holder. You can say, okay, in your memory. So that's about that. Okay, coming back to this Python printing our name. So this is how we do that: print and then comma and then this is for. So again, for compiling, I mean running the program, Python hello world. No, not this hello. I have another hello. So something like this, we do it. Okay. And one more thing, this is about, I mean, printing out the statements. Let's say something like you want to take the input from the user. Okay, you want to take the input from the user. So then the statement is simple. Let's say something like I is equal to, I want to take some input from the user. Just use input. Let's say just type your name, enter your name, something like use enter here. And let's say something like you want the maybe his age. Okay, input, enter your age. Okay, let's print out this name. I again age, age, something like this. Okay, so when I compile this program, so let's say, oh, there's a syntax error, so I did not remove something, this one here. So it is asking for name. Let's say something like my name is and age is, let's say something like 99. Okay, so this is how name we got that print. Okay, so this is how, I mean, we take the input from the user and we return back those values. For again, I will just remove all these statements. Okay. I'll run the program again. What happened? There is another syntax error over here because name is not defined. I mean, I removed that statement, right? So let's remove this as well because we don't need this as well. So name, something like this, and age might be like 99. So name is that. So this is how we take input from the user and then return back to the terminal. Okay, so that's about input and output in Python. Okay, and anything, I mean, any doubts here, or you wanted to know anything specific regarding this as of now?
So, sir, we have not mentioned, we have not clarified to Python environment that what actually A is. है ना? It simply it is taking it as an integer, whatever value we are giving to A, we
Mhm.
are assigning to A.
Yeah.
So how it is going to do? If, what if we are going to assign floating value or any other value or any other data type? So how will decide that how many memory blocks, how many bits of memory is to be stored, is to be covered for the data, or is to be assigned. So how it will decide? As we are not going to clarify to the program, to the environment that what kind of data type.
Yeah, correct. See,
You get me, though?
yeah, I got your question. So you are saying that when I say something like a is equal to 90, okay, how a Python interpreter will understand, okay, what type of variable a it is, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what. See, it is a dynamically typed language. So that means at the runtime, okay, at the runtime, the Python interpreter will check. I have something like some variable name here a, and then I assign 90 here, right? So depending upon this value, okay, this 90 value, and it will understand. Okay, so here the variable a is meant for integer type of data. So that means I need to allocate 4 bytes of memory for this variable a. Okay, so that in that case, what will happen? The block will be created in the memory with 4 bytes, and that block will be named as a. And in that block, that 90 will be stored. Okay, so next time when you say,
During the compilation,
sorry,
during compilation, it will automatically get the data right.
no, I mean it is not. That's what I'm saying. See, if you are using a C programming language, in the C programming or in any I mean C plus plus or even C sharp also, when you compile the program at the compilation time, first of all, I mean it will see that, okay, what is that data type. Okay, so depending upon the data type, the memory will be allocated for that variable. But whereas in Python, there is nothing like compilation and all. Okay, there is no compilation. It is an interpreted programming language. That means line by line, I mean, immediately you can convert the program into machine level language. That makes sense to you?
Got it?
You got it. Thanks. See, again, I mean, I have a better example for that. Let's say something like you might have seen some political meetings, right? So where let's say something like Narendra Modi came to Karnataka. Okay, so Narendra Modi doesn't know Kannada. Okay, so what he will be doing, he will be delivering his speech in Hindi statement. I mean one statement, and then what I mean other politicians will do is there might be another guy who is a translator. What he will do is when Modi delivers one statement, he will immediately convert that into a Kannada language. Okay, so this guy is nothing but an interpreter, right? So just like in Python, so Python is interpreter programming language. So I have something like 3 lines of code, right? So in this 3 lines of code, first Python will read this line, okay, and read it, and then it will convert it, like it is like translate it line by line. And if I have any problem in something like let's say here I will do that. I will just print name here. So name is not defined anywhere, right? So there won't be any problem until the fourth line here, right? So when I run the program, so it will ask for the first line. So first line is enter your name. So it will ask for the name. So no problem. So next, like something like, but sorry, I did not save the program. See, first line it will ask the name. Second line, age. You enter the age. See, in the third line there is a problem. So you are trying to print name which is not defined at all. Okay, so that is the duty of interpreter. But whereas in compiler is like, I mean, I have another example for compiler. Let's say something like you wrote the entire speech at a time and you give it to some translator. What he will do is he will check everything, okay, and then he will convert, I mean, he will translate it. If there is any problem in the script, he will go back to you and then he will say that sir, there is a problem in this statement, you are okay with that, or you want me to go ahead with that, something like that, right? So that is the duty of compiler. That means compiler, what it will do is it will read the entire file at a time and it will reproduce the new file that is understandable by the machine. So it is object file, okay. But whereas in the case of interpreter, no, there won't be any new object file or there won't be any new file. It is like line by line it will be interpreted. Okay, the best example is this one only, Narendra Modi's speech in Karnataka, or let's say something like Narendra Modi went to some US country or some other countries. What he will do is he will write entire speech in Hindi and then he will give it to some his translator. They will give him the English speech. So there he will go and then he will deliver his English speech looking at that paper, maybe something like that. You can relate it. Does it make sense to you?
So,
Okay. Yeah, that is about that. Okay. Hmm. Mm. And yeah, coming back to that swapping program I was talking about. Okay, so we can do that here simply. Okay, let's say something like you have a is equal to 10, okay, and b is equal to some 30. And if you want to swap the variables, of course, if you want to go by the books, I mean, whatever you learned in your previous programming language, if you want to do that, you can do that. Maybe using some temp variable equal to a, and then come on, why it is stopping me again, something like b, and finally b is equal to temp. You can do something like this, okay, but it is not at all required. Okay, simply you can do a is equal to b comma a. Okay, let's see that if you want to see it. Okay, print a comma b. Make sure that we are printing something like this. So I'm just removing this code. Okay, so I don't want to print it again and again. So for running the program, Python, just hello, see here. So generally we have a is 10, b is 30, right? So here you are getting 30 and 10. Okay. So as I was saying, in the single statement, okay, we can assign any number of values like let's say a comma b comma c comma d is equal to 10 comma 20, 2 comma 30. It's like this. So what will happen over here is, I mean, the from the left side, whatever the variables are there, okay. So each variable, I mean value from the right hand side will be assigned to this variables one by one. Okay. So because of that reason, it is possible in Python. Okay, so print something like this. Okay, and see here something like this. Okay, and one more thing, in Python everything is object. Okay, so why it is, we will discuss it maybe in some other sessions, but as of now I will show you how it is. Okay, why I am saying that statement. Okay, so let's say something like you have variable a equal to 10 here, right? So I am not very sure what type of data type a is. Okay, if I want to know the data type of the variable a, I can do something like this, print, there is a function called type. okay, type of A. So if I do that, I will come to know the data type of variable A. Okay, let's say something like I have some text here, and even I want to know the data type of variable B also. Okay, let's do it. Boom. So the first one is integer type and second one is string. Okay, so this is how we know the data type of any variable in Python, something like this. Okay, let's say you have some C is equal to some floating point. It is a floating point, something like this. And one more thing, for checking something like this, let's say something like you want to check some type of variables, and then you have some class, and then you want to see what are the functions or methods available in that class. Okay, for those things even you need not to write this simple program also. Okay, simply you can use Python interpreter. Okay, from the interpreter itself you can know about all these things. So what I'm talking about is this one. So when you type just Python on the interpreter, okay, you will get into this Python interpreter. Okay, it is called something like IDLE. Okay, where you can type your commands and you can check whatever you want, like something like you want to check the syntax of some method calling or something like this. You can check at real time over here. This is something like you want to add two numbers, a equal b is equal to 20. So simply you can do something like a plus b, so that you will get. Okay, so you want to check the type of the variable, so you can use type A, so you will get it. Type B, you will get it. Okay, let's say something like I have some string here. Okay, so let's say some string, and so definitely, so when you're using a string, on the string you might be having so many functions. Okay, maybe something like reversing a string or converting a string into a uppercase or lowercase. Okay, even if you want, you might be wanted to know the length of the string. Okay, so there might be many functions. So how to know that functions? So there is something called div over here. So when you do this one, directory of string, so it will display all the functions available for this string class. Okay, so if you see here, there is something called lower is there. Okay, so upper is there. Something there is something like r index is there. Something I don't know what are all these. Find is there, format is there. So there are many things are there. Okay, so let's try this one, upper. So str dot upper. Oops. See, so it is converting that entire string into uppercase. Okay, so similarly if you want to convert that into a lowercase, okay, so there is something called lower here. Simple. So you will be able to convert that into lower. Okay, so that is how. Okay, so if you want to know about anything, any function about that particular class, we can use this div and simply we can use it. Okay, unless it's something like you want to know the length of it. Okay, so there is no method in this. Okay, so I hope, I mean, method is called using this dot operation. Okay, but whereas the functions we use something like this directly, length of. So this length of the string is 11. So something like this. Okay, so these are all the available functions for a string class name. Okay, so if you want to exit from here, you just type exit and then the double colon. Boom. So you will be out of it. Okay, again if you want to go back to that terminal, so just type Python, then you will come back to this Python interpreter here. And one more thing, I mean, when you open this Python website, right, so you might find two versions of Python. Where is it? Where is our page? No, not this one. Yep. So here there are two versions basically, Python 3 series and Python 2 series. Okay. So I would recommend everyone to use Python 3 series only. So it is nothing like, I mean, you should not be using Python 2.7. It is also good. Okay. But the thing is, whatever the new applications that are going to develop, that are getting developed in Python 3 only. Okay. So you can say something like it is a new version of Python or anything. Okay, so I would recommend everyone to use this Python 3.6, and then you can start writing simple programs in Python. Any doubts here? I mean, otherwise, what we will do is today I will stop here. Okay, and if you have the free time, what you can do is please try to install Python in your system and try to write some simple programs. Okay, and in the next session, I will share the schedule exactly.
Okay.
I will share the schedule. I mean, like in the next session, what we will discuss, and maybe I will give you some simple programs to write as a homework and all. Okay, so that is how. So you wanted to say anything over here, or you have any doubts? So you are free to go ahead.
No doubt. Till
Mhm.
everything is clear, sir.
Okay,
Whatever
so
you just taught us,
mhm.
clear.
Okay, thank you so much for that. No problem. So maybe, I mean, yeah, it's a I can say something like Python is very simple. Okay, so to learn, if you are even see Python generally used as a first programming language, okay, in other countries but not in India. Okay, since we are using something like old methodology or something like old syllabus, still we are using C as a first programming language in India. Okay, in many states.
What what
But
is the
whereas, sorry.
reason that even C doesn't support oops, है ना? It
Yeah.
is not while Python all supports oops. Now we can
Mm,
write oriented programs in Python,
correct.
and as it is also much easier than it doesn't require classes and not at least not in a smaller program.
Yeah.
So why they are not used? Why it is not so popular and why it is not so much used? As per
No, no, no,
every
no, no.
but
I think you have a wrong conception. Python is very popular programming language. Python is very,
but
very popular. Yeah, Python is very, very popular programming language. Okay, it is highly used programming language. If you just go and search it, okay. So Python is like, if you maybe it is not the top programming language. Okay, definitely it is like it might be in top three. Okay,
as college and also in coaching centers or training centers, it also
yeah,
required.
yeah. In the coaching centers and all, see generally Python. See, let's say something like. It is not used for something like some simple, it can be used it, but what I noticed is in coaching centers they don't teach Python because they don't have that exposure to Python programming language, and they don't have the resources to train the people. Okay, even if you go and see something like courses, I mean, if are available, they are little expensive. Okay, so they charge too much. Okay, and whatever the coaching centers are there in now in Hyderabad or in Bangalore, they're like from the pretty olden days, right? Like something like 5 6 years old. Okay, so whomsoever is teaching there, coaching there, they are from those days only. So they are experts in Java or something like C programming language, so they are using the same syllabus and they're delivering it. Okay, so to get the expertise in Python and all, so it takes time basically. So maybe the lack of something like resources, they're not doing it, I don't know. But definitely you just go and search in Google. Okay, Python is very highly used programming language. Okay, especially nowadays, like you heard about data science. Okay, machine learning, artificial intelligence, right? So in these areas Python is highly used. Okay, so there are only two programming languages that are used in data science. One is R and Python. Okay, previously R was used very much, but now Python is overtaking it because of its simplicity, and it is a general purpose programming language, so you can use Python in data science as well as in other areas also. But whereas R programming language, R is only for data science. If you want to analyze some data, you use R programming language, so you cannot do much with R in other areas. But whereas Python, you can use it for any purpose. Okay, so you can just search it. Okay, just when you have free time, you just go and Google yourself. Okay, so is it good to learn Python, something like that? Just type the question and then see. Okay, you might get something like so many links recommending Python. Okay, as per my understanding, Python should be something like first programming language.
Sir, for the next schedule, I will just use that try to take the classes on weekends or maybe nights. That I'm also
Yeah, mostly it will be in the weekends only. I will plan. I mean, even in the weekdays also, but in the weekdays it should be after something like 8 o'clock, because I have office. Okay, in the daytime. Okay, so maybe in the evening times. So see, generally what I thought is I will send out the email to everyone, and then I will take the that feedback about the timings and all. Okay, but just I thought like today, I mean, one session we will do it like just like that. Okay, so maybe I just wanted to see how it goes, because this is my first time. Okay, so I never taught anyone programming language. I mean, online. Okay, though I'm working. Hmm?
it is a very great move for the guys like me who can't go to training sessions, who can't attend the courses.
Okay, okay. So I mean, your voice is breaking. I will do one thing. Okay, so I will just stop broadcasting it. Okay, and then we will talk